back to the book. Meanwhile, Travis was making another visit to the East Coast for the christening of his niece, Maggie Rose.
Maggie Rose.
So he's christening his daughter, and also he found out now that he's going back to Iraq, and this is another thing that he's sharing that news as your granddaughter's getting christened. Travis is telling you, hey, I'm going back to Iraq, and he's going back with the what is it? The 3rd Battalion, 2nd Brigade, 1st Iraqi Army Division Military Transition Team, MIT team. I said that in the opening. So, little bit about the MIT teams. I've talked about the various levels of comfort that you have in the military, or that we had in Iraq, and how, us guys in the SEAL teams, generally, for the most part, high level of comfort. We would get to a place, we would build a gym immediately. We would have our CBs construct a gym. If we didn't have one, we would get video or internet service. We would live pretty good. We'd get food shipped in. We would live pretty good. Now, that being said, of course, there was special ops guys that were way out in the middle of nowhere, living on a fob somewhere, and that's living rough. There were some people that were even more comfortable. There were some headquarters units that had swimming pools. I'm going to say that again, swimming pools. So there's some headquarters areas, if you got into the green zone in Baghdad, I'm on deployment in Iraq. I'm going to head out to the swimming pool for a few minutes. There's those kind of living. And then you got in Ramadi, we had the conventional guys that were living in the combat outposts in the city, real rough living. And then you go one step rougher, and where you end up with is MIT teams. And MIT teams, so this it stands for Military Transition Team, and this is when you are the direct advisor to an Iraqi battalion. And in this case, it was the 321. You're going to hear me say that a bunch. The 3rd Battalion, 2nd Brigade, 1st Iraqi Army Division. So this is a battalion of Iraqi soldiers, supposed to be 600 or 700, probably a lot less than that because they were generally highly undermanned. But the MIT teams had a really, really hard job, an incredibly hard job. It was, we did advising to the Iraqi soldiers, and we worked with the Iraqi soldiers side by side, and these guys did it not just on the battlefield, but with everything that they did, helping them with their pay, helping them learn how to do the logistics side that you mentioned Travis was doing. The MIT teams, just nothing but respect for the MIT teams. And on top of that, we go out with the SEAL teams, we had great training, and then we had other SEALs with us. MIT team, we'd have a minimum usually of like 6 to 8 SEALs with us when we go out. MIT teams, sometimes those guys are going out with one other MIT team guy, out with 40 Iraqi soldiers. Poorly trained, poorly motivated.
Yeah, they lived right there with them. They were totally embedded with them. So
eating the same food.
Tough job.
Yeah, horrible.
I remember the call from Travis when I first heard that, and I was just like, wow, much more comfortable as a dad with Travis with 200 Marines.
Yeah, the comfort level's incomparable.
Yeah,
between being with 200 Marines and being with 200 Iraqis, it's the level of risk is so much higher. There was a MIT team that came out in Ramadi, and they were turning over two MIT team. The ongoing MIT leader and the offgoing MIT leader were turning over. They got attacked. Both of them got killed. One attack. That's how much risk they're taking with these MIT team situations.
Well, the other thing about these guys is, they were going out in patrols with them, and if they're going to train them the right way, they were out front. I mean, one of the things with Travis, last time I talked to him, one of the last times at home, I said, Travis, you're an advisor. Make sure you just tell the Iraqis what needs to be done and step back and let them execute. And he was like, okay, Dad, I got it. And I knew exactly, what he was going to do. He was going to lead from the front, and that's what he did. That's what all those guys were doing. You're out of patrol, you're right out front with everyone else. When the Navy SEALs came back, Eric Greitens was a Navy SEAL with Travis, and he said, Travis was always there, every patrol. So.
Yeah. So that's what he gets tasked with. And I'll tell you what, if you want to get some, you're in a MIT team, you know, like you said, you know you're going to go out in patrols with the Iraqis, you know you're going to get after it. There's no doubt about it. It's nothing but respect for the guys. We worked with a bunch of MIT teams in Ramadi, just outstanding guys doing a really, really hard job. With
tough
unrelenting job.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, it was strategically, it was the surge, right? And they put everything behind the mid teams at that point. Yep. You remember in 2006, 2007, before Travis left, he actually had a chance to talk to General Mattis. Came in, talked to his MIT team about how important that mission was. So we're putting a lot behind our guys that were embedded with the Iraqis.
Yeah, and again, for those of you that, just to dig into that strategic piece a little bit more, our goal was to turn over Iraqi security to the Iraqis. And the only way to do that, and we realized this, and that's one of the things that made people realize the importance of the MIT teams, was you weren't going to do it, you weren't going to educate them on how to do a combat patrol in a classroom. You weren't going to educate them on how to do a combat patrol, even on a training field. You needed to take them out and teach them and force them to go out and do these things. Because the Iraqis, if they have the opportunity to either stay on base or go out on a patrol,
a lot of them would do it. Yeah,
their goal is to stay on base. Many of them. And so, of course, there were some guys that were more motivated, but a lot of them were they just want to survive, right? They just want to survive. So strategically, that's what we had to do, was we had to take them out and give them on-the-job training and simultaneously push them to go out and try and lower some of the level of violence out in the various cities.